So I look at social finance through a social innovation lens. That is looking at the ways in which society is using an innovation mindset to tackle large-scale social and environmental problems. And social finance becomes important because a lot of the strategies that people devise to overcome social and environmental challenges are probably going to need their own business model or their own financial model to be able to go to scale. Historically, a lot of the social innovations that society has been benefited by, let's say universal education that came in the past century, or universal health care, or things like innovations, social innovations like the development of libraries at the turn of the 18 to the 1900s. It was really government who took on the responsibility to finance those social innovations. But because of the challenges that government are currently facing now with fiscal challenges, we know that the flexibility of government to finance these kinds of things is going to be restricted. So really social finance is a way of ensuring that there's capital that could be available to finance these type of new modalities of producing positive social and environmental change. And maybe the best way to think about social finance is through examples. And one of the most prominent examples globally is microfinance. So this was an idea that was developed nearly 40 years ago by an economist in Bangladesh who was grappling with the issue of how could he develop programs that would help lift people in poverty in Bangladesh out of poverty. And one idea that he spent a lot of time looking at was these people are outside of the formal credit system. What if he was able to make loans available to them, small-scale loans that they could use to improve the incomes for their families? And he experimented with this over a fair period of time and then has had huge success. So much so that it's gone from an idea by one agency, an idea in one country, to a global movement that now makes micro loans available to about 100 million people around the world. And that's basically created a self-financing system that's doing a huge amount of positive good. We need to really actively look at social finance, especially for nonprofits and charities, because grants and contributions from governments are really sorely stressed right now. Governments are caught in a vice. On one hand, because of the credit crunch of 2008, they've been into a stimulus spending program, but that's going to end in 2011. And we have huge deficits federally. It's a $50 billion deficit. Provincially in Ontario, for example, it's a $20 billion deficit. So the governments with those deficits are obviously going to be cutting back on their spending. And at the end of those cuts are going to be cuts to nonprofits. The capital that nonprofits, charities, and social purpose businesses are going to need to access is going to be private capital. And that's capital that's going to come from mainstream financial institutions. And I think we have a vision that basically the mainstream financial sector is going to rise to the occasion and start creating products and facilities for people who are interested in social finance. And they'll actually be making opportunities available to individual investors, so that maybe an individual investor, instead of having the option of investing in the tar sands, might say, well, I could actually invest in nonprofits that are going to do affordable housing, or invest in nonprofits that are going to create small-scale businesses that are going to employ people that have a tough time entering the job market. Really, to be able to develop the social finance universe that helps to produce much more positive outcomes for society, we need government to help around setting the policy environment that makes these things work, getting the barriers out of the way, putting in place policy incentives. We need the private sector to help create and organize pools of capital and the ways of delivering that capital to organizations that can use it in the best, most sustainable, high return way. And we need nonprofits who are going to be developing these new forms of business models within their organizations, doing it on their own or doing it in partnership with for-profit entities or other organizations that are going to help them take really good ideas that exist at a community and grassroots level, but take them to scale.